Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you, are you getting on Facebook or Instagram or whatever? Is the algorithm showing you prompts for how to better articulate your business voice? And that you shouldn't come into these meetings and say, "How are you? How's your day going?" I mean, this is a podcast, so it's totally different. But like when you have a
Yeah.
Zoom meeting, have you seen
No,
those?
I got a funny one that I actually posted on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and it was, what do you call the person who's like when you go to a live show, if you go to like a recording of Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, the
Mm,
person who like gets the audience all psyched
warms them
up,
up.
the
Yeah.
whatever that person's called, and I can't think of the
The
term.
fluffer. Sorry.
Basically. But this guy was like, suddenly this is me. Like every time I enter a Zoom meeting and I'm the first one there with the
Yes.
client and I'm like talking about the weather and like making all this small
Right.
talk and
Like trying to
but you're getting
connect.
like, I'm guessing, mansplainy type things on your Instagram that like that's not right.
Well, it's not a man, it's a woman. And I agree with some of it. It's the don't lead with, does this make sense? Instead lead with, as I understand it, fill
Sure.
in the blank, right? That kind of thing. But I'm super curious about how you start any of these virtual meetings and don't ask the other person anything about like, how are you? Maybe
I mean,
it's
I feel like
like,
asking someone how they are is very different from trying to validate what your
it's
statement was,
boring,
which is
Danielle.
that,
I think it's
does
just
this make
boring.
sense?
Like we're
How are
not
you is boring.
yes, it's boring.
Oh, oh,
I don't
oh.
know either.
I
It's
mean, I would
human.
have said that weather is boring too, but like I feel like my grandfather, who like was notoriously like that's all he wanted to talk about was everyone's weather. But I feel like, I mean, we're all zooming in and joining each other from all different parts of the world at this point. It's like one thing that globally we all experience and yet is somehow different for all of us at this one moment in time. And so it's something to connect
Connect,
over.
and it can be this subtle way of figuring out where people are in the world,
Well,
literally,
actually, when you asked me
geographically.
how I was, like I was going to say I'm actually really good because my window's open and it's like finally in the 70s and it smells
Yes.
like spring. And
Yes. So
yeah,
it's so much more than just how are you? It's
yeah.
okay, well, I guess I'll get back to you on if I learn more about how to launch into these
Okay.
conversations
Well,
without how are you?
I'm sure those will start showing up on my feed now.
There, you're welcome.
I get a lot of, I'm suddenly getting a lot of like little baby facials, like, you know, people who like give babies facials.
No, I don't know anything. Baby facials?
Not because they have clogged pores, just because they love the way it feels and like it relaxes them.
Oh,
Like
I get
just
it.
like rubbing little baby faces.
Oh,
I'm
I
getting a
used
lot
to
of that. It's very soothing.
I was going to say when my babies were little, I would tickle their forehead at nap time and they'd be like, God, they
Yeah.
couldn't stand it. So I
It's
get the baby
lovely to
facial.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the maternal version of ASMR or something, just
Huh?
like enjoying the, what is it, oxytocin or whatever hormones that, like,
Yeah.
we're all relaxed now.
Yeah. It's my
Beautiful.
feed's a combination of baby facials, yacht rock. uh,
That's a whole different episode of this podcast. It's
yeah,
like,
they've got me numbered. Like 80s nostalgia. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, beautiful.
Okay. So you are once again leading with the topic
I
this
I
week, so I'm
thought
going
I
to let you
should,
at it.
carry my weight around here. So I went to Chat GPT and I asked a very clear question. What's the biggest burning issue in the influencer marketing industry right now? Not according to me, but looking at outside resources and thought leadership. And the response was the biggest burning issue right now is influencer marketing is being forced into its quote accountability era end quote, and the industry isn't structurally ready for it. That immediately got a response from you like, yes, let's go on this. So let me turn it over to you. What does that mean to you? Like it obviously resonated, whereas Chat GPT gave me like 8 points that it meant. What do you hear when I say that or when it says that?
Well, I guess where my reaction came from is I see people saying stuff like this a lot. I mean, I think your Chat GPT is right, and that is a topic that is bubbling up a lot, and I see people talking about it. I think where I kind of bristle at it is yes, we're ready for it. I was born ready for it. I've been measuring shit since day one. Like, certainly the like level of measurement has improved as technology has improved and we have new tools at our disposal. But who are these people who are just now suddenly being held accountable to measure anything? And like, hell yes, let's hold them accountable for it. What the heck have they been doing all this time? That's my reaction.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, there's a lot to dive into there because I'm thinking back to when conversations we had early days where clients, both brand side and agency side, would come to us and we had this robust reporting. It was focused on those vanity metrics, the reach, impression. There were page views back in the day, if you remember,
My
like,
gosh, number of followers. Yeah.
right, all of that, like monthly, like blog related.
Right.
And we would flesh that out really clearly with qualitative, snippets of the content or consumer reactions, audience reactions and all of that. And I remember back then those clients being like, oh, the last agency we worked with was just like, I guess, throwing them raw numbers and not quantifying any of it or qualifying any of it. Um, and so, has anything changed for you? If you've been doing it from the beginning, what did it look like? What does it look like? And what do you think people are getting wrong? Why do you think they think it hasn't been happening this whole time?
Well, I mean, when it first started, similar to you, right? Like we were getting, I don't even know if it was Google Analytics then, but we
Oh,
were,
right.
right, with the bloggers who we were working with, we knew their monthly page views, we knew their unique visitors, we knew how many followers they had on Twitter. And so we would take these numbers and come up with some kind of total, and that was the impressions that this content got. Obviously, that was kind of baloney. But I will caveat that by saying I was coming from a world of PR where every single measurement is just utter baloney. I mean, you take a magazine's readership and you multiply it by 3 because people leave the magazine at a doctor's office and someone else picks it up and read it. Like it's all just like mumbo
Gobbledygook.
jumbo.
Yeah.
Right. And like, the people watching a TV commercial, like we're all not running to go pee at the TV commercial. Like everyone's just sitting wrapped in front of the TV. So like I was coming from a world where numbers were kind of fuzzy anyway,
You
and we did our
created an
best.
ecosystem of measurement
Sure,
that
right,
everybody bought into and liked and was aligned around, but maybe didn't have any
right.
tether to reality.
And then we're in a world, and we have been since 2018, where influencers are authenticating in our system. We are getting metrics directly from the platform's APIs. So we are getting actual impressions, video views, total engagements, and then drilling down into engagements, we're getting clicks, comments, likes, shares, saves, replies. We have numbers for all of it. We are getting this directly so that we can pull it without having to ask. I know that there are other agencies, I think you do this, like you ask for screenshots of the back end data. You pick an end date of when you're pulling that data. And so it's still actual data, but we have that measurement. I think a lot of these people, when they're talking about not being able to measure, there's a couple of issues here. They're talking about driving to purchase. And
Yes.
certainly, I think an area where it is historically and always will be kind of difficult is if you're driving people to a brick and mortar location, unless they are directly grabbing a coupon from that influencer and then printing the coupon and bringing it into the store, getting a QR code or whatever it is. It's going to be very difficult to measure that direct, like I saw this post and I went into the store and I bought it in person. But for people who are buying online, we have UTM links. Like we know which posts are driving to a direct purchase. And when people get upset and say that that's like still not where it needs to be, like this again is kind of a whole other issue because to me, influencer marketing is so much more than just a direct purchase driver. It's so much more than conversion.
Yeah.
It kind of has a role within all levels of the funnel. I would argue it's at its strongest at the top and middle of the funnel. So the fact that you can't always take a post and directly tie it to an individual purchase is not a disaster to me. I mean,
Disaster,
give me
right?
all the data you can. It's great to have more data than less, but that piece still being a little bit tricky to measure is not a deal breaker for me.
So backing up to the PR model versus when we started working in the blog world, that was a big difference. That PR formula was an estimate. Earned media value was a happy number that I don't think anybody, well, I think we do still measure against earned media value, but we could pull back the curtain and say, here's how many people landed on this content, and here's how long they stayed on that blog post, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a refreshing reality in measurement versus what had been. Now you've just kind of opened the Pandora's box around when we try to make it a conversion tactic. Yes, and yes, there is the UTM link, and there is, when it happens, there's a direct correlation, but it doesn't account for the people that saw the content in their feed, went and did something else. Their kid sent them, hey, buy me this for my birthday. And worlds collide, Jerry. And all of a sudden we've got multiple points of attribution, not last click. So there's that whole ball of wax that I don't know that
And
that will ever be solvable.
And I mean, I say this a lot, like just because you now can measure that last click before attribution doesn't take away the marketing fact that we have all known forever, which is that someone typically needs to see something 6 to 8 times before they make a purchase. Like that doesn't magically go away when you can suddenly measure that click more easily.
Right.
So and why is that last click any more valuable than the first one?
It's myopic.
Yeah.
And I am in this camp and came into this conversation saying, well, I don't understand what all this hubbub is about because it's all based on a media buying model, which doesn't fulfill my belief in why influencer is so powerful. I don't think scale is a strategy. I don't think that just plastering ads all over and calling it influencer marketing is what you are talking about, that top and mid funnel nurturing, awareness, trust building. And so to lead into one of those points, one of the things that GPT said is trust is eroding, and Gen Z trusts customer reviews more than influencers. And I'm like, those are the same thing. What are you talking about? If you have the right influencers, well, customer, right. I mean, I guess what they're saying is Google reviews, Amazon reviews, all of that can be fudged. All of that can be, gamed. So ultimately, I'm back in the place of shaking my fist at, we've all lost the thread of what influencer marketing really even is, what the definition is. We've built it into this media, programmatic ad buys, conversion therapy, conversion attribution. And so back to brand awareness and top mid funnel, what's the measurement around that, Danielle? How are we who advocate for that providing concrete data that you can say, this is what happened, when really what happened is you got one more person to see your brand one more time through a trusted channel that builds into this out of market demand gen for when they do buy.
Well, I mean, if a client is looking to gain awareness, we're measuring everything, but we are not building the program around those conversion metrics. So yes, they will know how many people clicked on it or shared it or saved it, but we're measuring this campaign based on video views because we want to get it in front of as many people as possible.
And that's it. That's the end of the line as far as...
Well, I mean, we're showing all the metrics, but like the way that we work is that we give you all of the metrics that we have access to, and we pick one of those to guarantee in our contract, and we pick one of those to build the paid around when we're putting the program together, like the paid amplification, because when you go into Meta or you go into TikTok, you can purchase ads with the goal of driving traffic to a site. So that's what we'll do if it's conversion, or you can build that amplification around just like getting this in front of, like getting a lower CPM.
Right.
And getting this in front of as many people as possible. So
I guess I want to hold our collective feet to the fire around, are we willing to take a stand for top mid funnel being one of the most important places influencer marketing can impact a brand and its whole marketing mix and its visibility. And also say at the same time, but there is no better way to measure it than the amount of output and eyes reached and seconds watched when when we're pressured to put a dollar amount to that, a consumer
Yeah.
purchase
I mean, we
behavior.
like looking at like that will be the number that we guarantee because sure, that's the best way to know that like looking at a video view, you know that someone took in this video for more than 3 seconds and like that's something that we have. But I think it's interesting to look at other pieces around it. So we look like we are just wrapping up a client campaign now, putting together the report, and the client had noticed, and it was awareness campaign, but the client noticed that a lot of the comments, it's kind of a confusing product, and the client was like, you know what, I'm seeing in the comments that people are like, wow, I didn't know I could use it for that, like I didn't realize that's
Yes.
why it's so great for this purpose. I'm going to check that out. Like there were comments that spoke to a change in awareness and a
Yes.
purchase intent.
Yes.
And so we, in addition to showing like, yes, you got all these video views and yes, this was shared and this was saved and here's all the other metrics, we also screenshotted comments and were able to showcase those back to the client for her to show to her boss.
Yes. I love that. That's what I feel is I don't know what I'd call it, the zeitgeist or the power. That's why influencer marketing works.
Yeah.
Video views great because then you can say, why did this one work maybe versus this one? So there's some comparative analysis that can go on there. But ultimately, to me, it's a push-pull of information, and what you're pulling back in and how you analyze it and match it to what did well in the content analytics is crucial.
And
I
I
don't think
want
we
to
can
say
tie it
though,
to conversion.
you also, what's interesting is you don't have to pick one or the other. So we have this other client who we work with, and we don't do any of the amplification for them. They have their media buying agency handles that, working closely with us. So our goal is just to get as many eyeballs as possible on this content. And so we're finding people, again, this is another tricky product that has like a very specific type of user with just like a very, I mean, this word is overused, but like there is a vibe about this product. So we are finding people with this vibe to tell the story of the products that this brand produces. And like that's our goal. That's all that we're doing. But part of what we're doing also is then talking to this media buying agency and saying, hey, this content's kind of bubbling up. This seems to be performing well. Like these are the pieces of content that we recommend you run with for paid social. In working with them last year, one of these pieces of content that we bubbled up, like blew sales out of the, like completely unbelievable, outrageous how many sales this piece of content was generating.
Through that tracked link. That's
through
how
that
you knew
tracked
that.
link that the media buying agency is using. We only knew about this because they told our client was psyched. She told us, she's like, let's work with him again. His content wasn't even that good. Like it's kind of mysterious as to why this was performing in this way. It wasn't a piece of content organically that got the most reach. It wasn't a piece of content that where the quality stood out. There was just something about how he was positioning it that spoke to that user who was purchasing. This piece of content worked way better for bottom of funnel than it did for top of funnel, but it's nice that we got to kind of be involved with all of it.
Yeah. And this is maybe the wisdom I want to come out of this podcast is when it comes to like I don't believe there's this cut and dried analytic route to take. And if your agency or your internal team isn't hitting it, that they're failing. You just described what really makes influencer marketing work well. Communication among all the players.
Yes.
Watching, like, yes, your goal, if I'm understanding this correctly, get as many video views as you can. But within that, the yes and that we can have this and this is, and we're watching for contextual clues
Right.
about what's performing and why. We just did the same. We had a snack influencer working with brand name ice cream treats, and his page is filled with snacks. This particular collaboration took off. And the reason likely boils down to when people see the thumbnails, they don't know what some of the no-name donuts or cookies or whatever are,
Right.
but these branded snacks in wrappers are like an emotional hit. People like,
Right.
oh, I know that. I know that candy bar, and now it's an ice cream, whatever. But all of this to
We also,
say,
have I told you about our ice cream metric?
yes, but tell me
We
again.
So we benchmark our campaigns, and so we know, like, okay, a food campaign using this size influencer, we're going to likely get this kind of CPM, or these kind of, like, we benchmark everything that we do by category. So is it food, or is it DIY, or is it, and then is it micro influences or macro influence? Like, we have so many benchmarks that we look at. But anytime we're working on ice cream, we lower the CPM and increase the number of views, because ice cream, always, everyone loves ice cream. So it always does
Interesting.
better.
And I've got to believe that's ice cream, like in a dish on a cone, like
It's just any
quintessential.
kind of ice cream. People love
Really?
ice cream.
They love ice cream. Well, so there you go. So maybe it's that and the name
It's probably
brand.
like ice cream, puppies, babies getting facials.
Puppies giving babies facials. I don't know. While eating ice cream. Yeah, there's a lot there. And to pull it back, I'm working as hard as I can against this. There is a formula across the board, and you must follow it and be, as we've agreed, one campaign today will look totally different tomorrow with all the same parameters. And the magic really lies in the ability to marry the quantitative, the qualitative, the place and time, the cultural circumstances that are going on. I've beaten the drum of this before. We had a wellness product that was immune supporting, launched in May of 2020. We could not have planned that timing
Right.
and what the consumer audience was primed to
And
know.
it's getting the right eyeballs in front of it. Like, we used to always, when I was at Edelman, we always used to say, like, just because you're going to get so many people being on the Today Show, not everything should be on the Today Show.
Right. You mean a
Right?
product placement and
Right.
steals and deals.
Yeah.
It doesn't, not
I mean,
everything
there
belongs
are plenty of
Yeah.
influencers that are going to get you all of those eyeballs, but are they the right ones that matter?
Yeah. I mean, right. And then there's brand safety and there's all kinds of things to consider. So where does that, I want to, put this in a nice bow. When we say influencer marketing is being forced into its accountability era and the industry isn't structurally ready for it, any last thoughts about why that? Don't you think that is the work of the media teams, not media, like PR teams behind media agencies or behind brands who are just getting to this? Like, have they just done a really good job of telling a story that isn't really a story?
Yeah. And I just think, if you're, I think the perception that we're not ready for it is wrong. I think the reality is not everyone is ready for it, and not everyone can handle it. And so the message isn't really like, oh my gosh, better get your ducks in a row and start measuring. Suddenly they want measurement. I think the response is, wow, okay, now, like, now my boss is asking me for this data that I've never been asked for before. I need to make sure that the partners I'm using, or the tools that I'm using, if I'm doing it myself, are tools that are set up to do this, because you can measure it. These tools do exist. This is not new. This is not impossible. It can be expensive. It's more work. There are factors in play, but I think the response isn't like, oh shit, we better start measuring now. I think it's more like, oh, let me just make sure I'm working with the right tools and partners, because now suddenly someone's going to ask me for this
You're
stuff.
making me wonder also if the days of spray and pray, let's put budget toward just this, reach over anything, are meeting rubber meets the road around the expense of it, because I agree with you. I think the expense has always been there of doing it right and doing it well.
Yeah.
And that's what folks haven't wanted. We've had this conversation
And I
almost about
know-
agency margins and all of that, but it can be very high touch.
Well, and I know you're trying to land the plane here, so I'm not going to digress for too long. But like, I also think there's a whole world of influencer marketing that's very much about the celebrity, like the Kardashian type of influencer marketing. And that is incredibly expensive, costs so much money. And like, I think there's increased scrutiny around the value of those partnerships.
Yeah, which there should be.
Right? Because if you're going to pay $200,000 or, like let's even look at Love Island, last summer's Love Island, Amaya Papaya was charging $125,000 for a single Instagram story, not even a post, a story that was going to go away after 24 hours. If you're going to invest in something like that, yes, you need to make sure that you're getting everything, that you are being held accountable for the metrics coming out of that.
Yeah.
I think the scrutiny
can't be feel good.
Yeah.
Can't just be feel good.
I think we should be measuring everything. And I think, whether it's a Maya Papaya or someone who costs $200, but I will say, if you're looking at this through the lens of these celebrity purchases, sure, maybe that's some kind of new level of accountability that's coming into play.
And you just opened the door to our next podcast, which is, I think we should measure everything. I don't. I think that leads people into a false sense of, oh, good, if we can get all this information, then it all matters and it'll look important. And that might be where they've gotten themselves into trouble sometimes, of being able to defend what any of it means, versus setting up programs designed to measure certain things. But we'll just have to put a pin in that and be excited that maybe we have content prepped in advance versus scrambling the morning of.
Yeah.
No, this is great.
Okay. Well, till next week.
See you then.